The sleek Galactic Coalition patrol vessel, Stellar Harmony, glided silently through the vast emptiness of space. Stars twinkled in the distance like scattered diamonds on black velvet, their light barely illuminating the ship's organic curves and flowing lines. Deep in the vessel's command center, Captain Deho Park sat alert in his command chair, his experienced eyes fixed on the main view screen. The bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations, the soft hum of equipment and occasional beeps creating a familiar symphony of space travel. Lieutenant Jinna Lee, the first officer, monitored her console with practiced precision when something unusual caught her attention. "Captain," she called out, her voice cutting through the ambient noise. "Long-range scanners have detected an unknown vessel." Her fingers moved swiftly across the holographic interface, bringing up detailed sensor readings. The unknown ship appeared on the main screen, its dark silhouette standing out against the starfield. Unlike the smooth, curved designs common to coalition vessels, this ship was all sharp angles and geometric patterns. It reminded Deho of ancient Earth crystals he had once seen in historical archives. "Run it through our database," he ordered, leaning forward in his chair. The bridge crew's movements became more focused, their attention drawn to this mysterious newcomer. Jinnah's console chirped as it completed its analysis. "Sir, no matches found. The design doesn't correspond to any known spacefaring species." She paused, double-checking her readings. "The construction materials are unusual. I've never seen anything quite like it." The unknown vessel maintained a parallel course to their patrol route, matching their speed perfectly. Its behavior seemed deliberate, almost calculating. Captain Park felt a familiar tension in his shoulders, the kind that came from years of experience, telling him something wasn't quite right. "Standard first contact protocols," he announced, his voice steady and clear. "Open all diplomatic channels. Let's show them we come in peace." The communications officer, Ensign Eugene Choi, began broadcasting the universal greeting sequence. Moments passed as the crew waited for a response, the silence growing heavier with each second. Suddenly, the unknown ship's energy signature flared brilliantly on their sensors. Multiple targeting systems activated simultaneously, and the vessel's hull began to emit an eerie blue glow. "Sir," Jenna's normally composed voice carried an edge of alarm. "They're powering up weapons systems. But these readings," she shook her head in disbelief. "The energy output is beyond anything in our database. It's increasing exponentially." The Stellar Harmony's defensive screens activated automatically, humming to life as they prepared to defend against potential threats. The bridge crew's movements became more urgent, each officer preparing for possible combat scenarios. Before Captain Park could issue any orders, their communication system crackled with an incoming transmission. The voice that filled the bridge was clear and authoritative, carrying a weight that made even the most seasoned officers straighten in their seats. "This is Captain Hanbol Kim of the United Earth Federation vessel Deterrent." The voice was calm, but carried an unmistakable note of warning. "You have entered restricted space. Stand down your weapons and prepare for verification." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans. They had encountered humans. The species that had been nothing more than rumors and speculation in coalition space was now facing them directly. Captain Park exchanged glances with Jinnah, both recognizing the gravity of the situation. The Stellar Harmony, pride of the coalition fleet, suddenly felt small and vulnerable against this unknown human vessel. Their sensors continued to register power readings that defied their understanding of physics, while the Deterrent maintained its position with impossible precision. As tensions mounted on the bridge, Captain Park realized that this encounter would change everything the Coalition thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. The humans weren't just real. They were far more advanced than anyone had imagined. And now, deep in what they claimed was restricted space, the Stellar Harmony's crew was about to learn exactly what that meant. The game of cat and mouse had begun, but Park wasn't entirely sure which ship was which. Aboard the Coalition flagship, Divine Wind, Admiral Ta Jun Kang stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of multiple tactical displays. The massive bridge around him buzzed with controlled chaos as officers rushed to process the incredible data streaming in from their sensors. The human warship moved like nothing they had ever seen before. Its sleek form cut through space with an almost artistic grace, defying the laws of physics that had governed coalition ship design for centuries. The Admiral's jaw clenched as he watched the UEF deterrent execute yet another maneuver that should have been impossible. "Bring up the trajectory analysis," he ordered, his voice tight with tension. The main display shifted, showing a complex web of movement patterns. The human vessel's path appeared as a bright line weaving through space, each turn marked with acceleration figures that made several junior officers gasp. Commander Sun Micho, his tactical officer, worked furiously at her station. Her fingers flew across the controls as she attempted to make sense of the readings. "Sir, they just pulled a turn that should have generated over 30 Gs of force. Any coalition crew would be dead, their ship torn apart. But they're not even straining." The Admiral leaned closer to the display, his eyes narrowing as the deterrent performed what appeared to be a casual spin on its axis while maintaining its forward momentum. "Are we certain these readings are accurate?" "Triple-checked, sir," Sun Mei confirmed. "Their inertial control technology. It's like they're ignoring the basic laws of motion. Look at this." She brought up a new set of diagrams. "Their hull integrity hasn't dropped below 100% during any maneuver. It's as if they're swimming through space rather than fighting against it." Around them, the bridge crew watched in a mixture of awe and fear as the human vessel continued its display. Each movement seemed calculated not just to demonstrate superior technology, but to send a clear message. Everything the Coalition thought they knew about space warfare was outdated. "Sir," called out the sensor officer, "they're matching our course corrections before we even complete them. Their response time is faster than our computers can process." Admiral Kang felt a chill run down his spine. The Divine Wind was the pride of the Coalition fleet, representing the pinnacle of their technological achievement. Yet here they were, being outmaneuvered by a single human vessel, as if they were children playing with toys. "Show me their energy output," he commanded. The display shifted again, revealing patterns that made no sense to their most advanced monitoring systems. The deterrent's power signature pulsed and flowed in ways that suggested their understanding of energy generation was as primitive as their propulsion technology. "They're not just advanced," Sun Mai said quietly, voicing what everyone was thinking. "They're generations ahead of us. These aren't lucky maneuvers or clever tricks. This is technology we can't even begin to understand." The Admiral watched as the human ship executed another impossible turn, this time coming to a complete stop from full speed in less than a second. The maneuver would have turned any coalition ship into a cloud of debris, yet the deterrent's crew probably didn't even spill their coffee. "Send all data to Coalition Command," Kang ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of revelation. "They need to understand what we're dealing with. This isn't just first contact with a new species. This is first contact with a civilization that could reshape the entire balance of power in known space." As if to emphasize his point, the deterrent suddenly vanished from their sensors, only to reappear on their opposite side a moment later. The move sent the bridge crew into another frenzy of activity, trying to understand how they had done it. "Sir," Sun Mi's voice carried a note of resignation, "I don't think they're showing off. I think they're being polite. These maneuvers, they're well within their capabilities, but they're doing them slowly enough for our sensors to track. They're letting us see what they can do." Admiral Kang nodded slowly, understanding the implications. The humans weren't just demonstrating their superiority. They were teaching them, showing them glimpses of possibilities they had never imagined. The question was, why? What did they want from this encounter? As he watched the deterrent continue its elegant dance through space, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to find out. And he wasn't sure the Coalition was ready for the answer. The Grand Coalition Assembly Hall sparkled under its crystal chandeliers, its marble floors reflecting the nervous movements of dozens of species representatives. The hall's usual calm atmosphere had given way to an electric tension that seemed to make the very air crackle with anticipation. Ambassador Myra Song sat at the primary delegation table, her formal diplomatic robes arranged perfectly around her. Despite her years of experience, she found herself fighting to maintain her composure. Across from her, Ambassador Junseo Universe sat with an ease that bordered on casual, his simple black uniform standing in stark contrast to the elaborate dress of the coalition representatives. The murmur of worried conversations filled the hall as species from across known space discussed the implications of this meeting. Some delegates spoke in hushed whistles, others in low growls or electromagnetic pulses, but all shared the same underlying concern. How had they missed the humans for so long? Myra studied her human counterpart carefully. Junseo appeared completely human, no cybernetic enhancements visible, no obvious signs of genetic modification. Yet something about his presence made even the most seasoned diplomats uneasy. Perhaps it was the calm confidence in his dark eyes, or the slight smile that seemed to suggest he knew far more than he was saying. "Shall we begin the formal proceedings?" Myra asked, her voice carrying clearly through the hall's perfect acoustics. The background chatter died down immediately. Junseo nodded, that same mysterious smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "Of course, Ambassador Song. Though I suspect you have questions beyond the standard diplomatic protocols." "We do indeed," Myra replied, trying to match his calm. "Your sudden appearance in coalition space has raised many concerns. The incident with our patrol fleet was a necessary demonstration." Junseo interrupted smoothly. "We needed to establish clear boundaries from the start. But that's not what truly concerns you, is it?" The assembled delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Junseo's directness violated several coalition diplomatic conventions, but no one dared object. "What concerns us," Myra said carefully, "is that we had no indication of your civilization's existence until now. No signals, no evidence of expansion, no trace of your technology." Junseo's smile widened slightly. "That's not entirely accurate, Ambassador. We have observed your civilization for some time. We simply chose when and how to make our presence known." A chill ran down Myra's spine, and she heard several delegates inhale sharply. "How long?" she asked, dreading the answer. "Long enough," Junseo replied, his words echoing in the suddenly silent hall. "Long enough to learn your languages, understand your cultures, study your technologies, and evaluate your potential as neighbors." A Centaurian delegate rose from their seat, their crystalline form catching the light. "You spied on us." "We observed," Junseo corrected gently, "just as you would study any new environment before choosing to enter it. We watched your wars and your peace treaties. We saw how you handled first contact with new species. We learned your strengths and your weaknesses." Myra forced herself to remain composed, though her hands trembled slightly under the table. "And what conclusions did you draw from these observations?" Junseo leaned forward slightly, his expression becoming more serious. "We concluded that the coalition, despite its flaws, represents something worth preserving. Your attempts at peaceful cooperation, your scientific achievements, your cultural exchanges, they show promise." "Promise," another delegate called out. "We are the most advanced civilization in known space." The human ambassador's laugh was gentle but carried an edge that silenced the protest. "Were," he corrected. "You were the most advanced civilization in known space." That reality changed the moment humanity decided to make itself known. The implications of his words hung heavy in the air. Myra watched as understanding dawned on the faces of her fellow diplomats. The humans hadn't just been watching. They had been evaluating whether to allow the coalition to continue as it was. "Then why reveal yourselves now?" Myra asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Junseo's expression softened slightly. "Because the galaxy is changing, Ambassador Song. There are things coming. threats you haven't yet detected, opportunities you haven't imagined. We decided it was time to step forward and help prepare you for what lies ahead." The assembly hall erupted in whispers and exclamations, but Mireille barely heard them. She was focused on the absolute certainty in Junseo's eyes and the realization that this wasn't just a diplomatic meeting. It was the beginning of a fundamental shift in the galaxy's power structure. And the humans had known it all along. The massive data screens in the Coalition Historical Analysis Center cast an eerie blue glow across Senior Analyst Hai Jin-Ru's face as she scrolled through the newly acquired human historical records. Her eyes widened with each passing moment, her hands trembling slightly as she processed the implications of what she was reading. The quiet hum of quantum computers filled the room as they processed centuries of human warfare data. Pictures, videos, and text documents floated across multiple screens, each telling a part of humanity's violent evolution. Images of ancient warriors with primitive weapons gave way to mechanized warfare, then nuclear arsenals, and finally to weapons that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. "Du Hyun," she called out, her voice cracking slightly. "You need to see this immediately." Do Hyun Choi looked up from his own workstation, noting the urgency in his colleague's voice. He quickly made his way across the analysis chamber, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. "What have you found?" he asked, leaning over her shoulder to look at the displays. "Everything," Hai Jin whispered. "Their entire military history. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." She pulled up a timeline that stretched across 3 screens. "Look at this progression. From stone tools to antimatter weapons in less than 10,000 years. The speed of their technological advancement is unprecedented." Do Hyun's eyes scanned the data, his expression growing more concerned with each passing moment. "This can't be right. No species develops this quickly without destroying themselves." "That's just it," Hai Jin said, bringing up another set of documents. "They came close to self-destruction multiple times, but each time they pulled back from the brink. Look at this. They developed nuclear weapons, weapons that could destroy entire cities. But after using them twice, they chose to regulate them instead." The screens filled with images of nuclear test sites, followed by treaties and diplomatic meetings. Du Hyun watched in fascination as the data showed how humans had created rules around their most destructive weapons. "And it wasn't just nuclear weapons," Hai Jin continued, her fingers dancing across the interface. "Biological warfare, chemical weapons, artificial intelligence. Every time they developed something that could potentially end their civilization, they found ways to control it. Not because they were forced to, but because they chose to." She pulled up footage of ancient battles, showing the evolution of human combat tactics. "Look at how they fight. Each war taught them something new. They didn't just develop better weapons, they developed better strategies, better defenses, better ways of ending conflicts." Do Hyun sank into a nearby chair, his face pale. "So when they encountered our patrol fleet, they were holding back," Hai Jin finished, "significantly holding back. Based on these records, their current technology level is far beyond what they showed us. The maneuvers we observed, those were probably primitive by their standards." More data streamed across the screens. Detailed analyses of human conflict resolution, peace treaties, and military doctrines. Each piece of information painted a clearer picture of a species that had mastered not just the art of war, but the art of knowing when not to use it. "There's something else," Hai Jin said, her voice dropping to nearly a whisper. She brought up a new set of documents, these marked with high security classifications. "They've been fighting things we didn't even know existed. Look at these incident reports. Encounters with dimensional anomalies, hostile artificial intelligences, threats from beyond known space." Do Hyun leaned forward, his professional composure cracking as he read the reports. "They've been protecting their region of space from these threats for centuries. And we never knew. We thought we were alone out here," Hai Jin said, gesturing at the star maps showing known coalition space. "We thought we were the most advanced civilization. But the humans, they've been silently standing guard this whole time, fighting battles we never even knew were happening. She brought up one final document, its contents making both analysts fall silent. It was a human military assessment of the Coalition's defensive capabilities, dated years before first contact. They could have conquered us at any time, Du Hyun realized, his voice hollow. Instead, they waited and watched, making sure we were ready for the truth. Hai Jin nodded slowly, looking at the vast array of information before them. The question is, ready for what? What's coming that made them finally decide to reveal themselves? The answer, they both knew, probably lay somewhere in the mountains of data still waiting to be analyzed. As they turned back to their work, neither could shake the feeling that they were only beginning to understand just how much humanity had changed the game. Alarms blared throughout the Coalition flagship, Swift Justice, as Commander Kita Yang watched his battle plan fall apart. The massive holographic display in the center of the bridge showed his once proud fleets scattered across space like broken toys. Red warning indicators flashed everywhere, marking disabled or critically damaged vessels. Status report. He barked, gripping the arms of his command chair as another explosion lit up the viewport. The Valiant Dawn has lost all power, sir, his tactical officer reported, voice shaking. The humans, they didn't destroy it. They just turned everything off. Crew is alive but floating. 5 human vessels moved through his fleet with terrible grace, their dark hulls barely visible against the star-filled background. They weren't using traditional formation tactics. Instead, each ship seemed to operate independently yet in perfect coordination with the others. Sir, the Morning Star is reporting complete systems failure, another officer called out. Some kind of energy pulse, just. They don't know what hit them. Keita had started this engagement with 15 of the Coalition's most advanced warships. The plan had seemed sound. Test the humans' military response, gauge their true capabilities, establish dominance. Now, barely 20 minutes into the battle, more than half his fleet was dead in space. Launch the second wave of fighters, he ordered, knowing it was futile but unable to simply give up. The fighter squadrons emerged from their carrier ships, hundreds of small craft swarming toward the human vessels. For a moment, Kita allowed himself to hope. Then he watched in horror as the humans responded. A soft blue light pulsed from one of the Earth ships. The fighter squadron simply stopped, frozen in space as if caught in invisible amber. Another pulse, and all their systems went dark. They're alive, his sensor officer reported in disbelief. All pilots are alive and unharmed. The humans just turned off their ships, like flipping the switch. A new contact appeared on their screens, emerging from what appeared to be a fold in space itself. The human vessel was larger than the others, its hull bearing markings that suggested a command ship. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Put it through, Kita said, his voice heavy with resignation. Coalition forces, a calm voice filled the bridge. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the UEF Command Vessel Teacher. You have initiated an unsanctioned combat exercise in monitored space. We have responded with appropriate restraint. Do you wish to continue this lesson? Kaita felt the weight of every eye on the bridge turned to him. The word lesson hung in the air like a blade. No response needed. Commander Yang. Admiral Chen continued after a moment. We understand this was a test. Allow us to complete your evaluation. Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge lit up with detailed analysis of their battle tactics, point-by-point breakdowns of their strategic failures, and suggested improvements to their ship designs. They weren't fighting us, Kita's tactical officer whispered. They were teaching us, showing us every flaw in our strategy, every weakness in our technology. A new set of data appeared, showing how the humans had disabled each ship with minimal force, ensuring 0 casualties while demonstrating overwhelming superiority. Your crews will be fine. Admiral Chen's voice returned. We've left basic life support and gravity systems operational on all vessels. Engineering teams will find detailed instructions for restoring power once this demonstration is complete. Kaita watched as another of his ships went dark, disabled by weapons so precise they could shut down specific systems while leaving others untouched. Final analysis. Chen announced. Coalition military doctrine relies too heavily on overwhelming force and numerical superiority. Your technology focuses on destruction rather than control. These limitations make you vulnerable to more advanced tactical approaches. The human ships began to move in perfect formation, creating a pattern that their sensors couldn't quite track. Class dismissed, Commander. We look forward to more productive interactions in the future. As the human vessels disappeared into what looked like tears in space itself, He Tadiang sat in his command chair, surrounded by the wreckage of his pride and the ruins of everything he thought he knew about warfare. Send word to Coalition Command, he ordered quietly. Tell them we need to completely rethink our approach to space combat. And thank the humans for the lesson. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Coalition Supreme Council had never felt so crowded, yet so silent. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of species filled every seat, their usual chatter replaced by a tense quiet. The ornate ceiling, designed to represent the unity of all spacefaring races, seemed to loom overhead like a reminder of their shared vulnerability. High Counselor Se-Jin Moon stood at the central podium, her traditional robes of office feeling unusually heavy. The holographic displays behind her showed footage from recent encounters with human vessels, each image more disturbing than the last. Distinguished members of the coalition, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. What I am about to share will fundamentally change our understanding of our place in the galaxy. The displays shifted to show the battle footage from Commander Yang's failed military exercise. The assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as human ships systematically disabled an entire coalition battle group without causing a single casualty. These encounters have proven something we never expected, Se-Jin continued, pointing to specific moments in the footage. The humans have revealed only a fraction of their true capabilities. Their ships carry weapons we cannot detect, use principles we cannot understand, and employ tactics we cannot counter. A wave of worried murmurs swept through the assembly. Representatives from warrior species growled in disbelief, while others showed signs of fear specific to their biology. Changing colors, emitting pheromones, or drawing in their sensory organs. But this is not the most concerning revelation. Se-Jin said, her voice cutting through the growing noise. Our analysis suggests they have been watching us for centuries. Learning. Waiting. We are not dealing with newcomers to the galactic stage. We are dealing with a civilization that may well surpass our own. The displays changed again, showing historical analysis of supposed anomalies and unexplained phenomena throughout coalition space. Events that had been dismissed as natural occurrences or sensor malfunctions now appeared in a new light. These readings, collected over the past 300 years, matched the energy signatures we now know belong to human vessels. They have been patrolling our borders, intercepting unknown threats, and quietly keeping watch over our development. An Arcturian representative rose from their seat, their crystalline form catching the light. Why would they do this? Why reveal themselves now? Se-Jin touched a control, bringing up diplomatic transcripts from their first official contact. They claimed they waited until we were ready for what they haven't said. But consider this, every interaction with them has been carefully controlled, precisely calculated to teach us something specific. She gestured to a new set of images showing human technological demonstrations. They're not just showing us their power, they're preparing us, teaching us. The question we must ask is, what are they preparing us for? The assembly erupted in discussions, theories, and arguments. Se-Jin waited for the noise to settle before continuing. We have 3 options before us, she said, her voice taking on a steel edge. We can deny reality and cling to our belief in our own supremacy. We can react with fear and hostility to their presence, Or we can accept that everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe has changed and embrace the opportunity to learn from a civilization that has chosen to guide rather than conquer us. The displays showed one final image, a human diplomatic vessel approaching a coalition station, its design somehow both beautiful and terrifying in its implications of advanced technology. The humans have offered to share some of their knowledge with us, Sejin announced. Not all of it, they're clear about that, but enough to help us advance, to prepare for whatever they believe is coming. The decision before this council today is whether to accept their offer. She paused, looking out over the assembled representatives of the coalition. But understand this, they are not asking our permission to be here. They are not seeking our approval of their actions. They are offering us a choice, evolve or be left behind. The silence that followed her words was deeper than any that had come before. In that moment, every being in the assembly hall understood that they were living through a turning point in galactic history. The future of the coalition would be decided not by their own achievements, but by how they chose to respond to the revelation that they were no longer the most advanced civilization in known space. The massive observation dome of Defense Station, Unity Point, offered a breathtaking view of the galaxy's newest chapter unfolding. Through its crystalline walls, ships of both human and coalition design moved in perfect harmony, their formations weaving complex patterns against the star-filled backdrop. Fleet Admiral Minho Quan stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the dance of vessels with a mixture of pride and lingering amazement. Beside him, Human Fleet Commander Jaewon Park maintained a relaxed posture, occasionally pointing out particularly interesting maneuvers. "Look there," Jaewon said, gesturing to where a coalition heavy cruiser executed a perfect synchronized turn with two smaller human escorts. 6 months ago, that level of coordination would have been impossible. Now it's routine training. Minho nodded, remembering the early days of joint operations when coalition ships had struggled to keep pace with human vessels. Now, thanks to shared technology and countless hours of combined drills, the two fleets moved as one. The integration is proceeding faster than anyone expected, Minho observed, watching as another group of ships emerged from a practice jump. Though I suspect you knew it would. Jaewon smiled slightly but said nothing, her attention focused on a massive shape emerging from the shipyards visible below the station. The new vessel caught the light of the nearby star, its hull reflecting a perfect blend of human geometric patterns and coalition organic curves. The first of the Harmony class, Minho said with evident pride. A true combination of our technologies, something entirely new in the galaxy. The massive Defender-class vessel moved with impossible grace for its size, its hybrid engines glowing with a soft blue light that neither civilization had achieved alone. Along its hull, proud letters spelled out its designation, Harmony Class Defender. You could have conquered us, Minho said quietly, voicing the thought that had haunted him for months. Why didn't you? Jaewon turned to face him, her expression serious. Because true strength lies not in the ability to conquer, but in the wisdom to coexist. We didn't come to rule the galaxy, Admiral. We came to protect it. From what? Minho asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. A noob alert sounded, and both commanders turned to watch as a spatial anomaly formed at the edge of the defense perimeter. Through the tear in space emerged a shape that defied description, its very presence seeming to distort reality around it. Without hesitation, human and coalition ships moved in perfect formation to intercept it. The Harmony-class vessel took point, its advanced sensors already analyzing the threat. From that, Jaewon said simply, and worse things that are coming. The universe is larger and stranger than either of our civilizations imagined. But together, she gestured at the fleet moving to engage the anomaly. Together, we're stronger than either of us could be alone. Minho watched as the combined fleet executed their response with practiced precision. The threat was contained, analyzed, and neutralized in minutes with an efficiency that would have been impossible just months ago. They're learning, Jai-1 said with evident satisfaction. Both sides. Your tactical creativity combined with our technology. Our experience with the unknown combined with your adaptability. This is why we waited, watched, and chose to reveal ourselves when we did. A new group of ships emerged from the station's training docks. Cadets from both civilizations learning to fly together from their first day. The future of both their peoples, working as one. And this is just the beginning, Jai-1 continued. There are more civilizations out there, more potential allies. Some will need guidance as we guided you. Others will need protection. And some, she paused, watching as the anomaly was finally sealed. Some will need to be stopped. Minho understood then, truly understood, why the humans had chosen this path. Not conquest, not dominance, but partnership. A galaxy where different civilizations could grow together, learn from each other, and face the unknown united. As if to emphasize the point, the Harmony-class vessel began its first official patrol, its crew a mixture of both species. Above them, more ships emerged from hyperspace, vessels from newly contacted civilizations, coming to learn, to join, to be part of something greater than themselves. The new galactic order wasn't about power or control. It was about survival, growth, and the kind of strength that could only come from true cooperation. As Minho watched the combined fleet move through space, he couldn't help but smile. The future they were building together was brighter than either civilization could have achieved alone.